Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Natural Born Hunter podcast. And tonight, we're going to start out with this. Phil, what is better than getting 10% off on your Mountain Ops purchase?
Getting 11% off your Mountain Ops purchase?
That's true. And what's better than that?
Well, we can walk this all the way up, but let's just go ahead and jump right up to 20% off, Will.
Yes, let's not annoy our listeners by going increment by increment till he gets 20%. If you want 20% off your next purchase from Mountain Ops, go to getmountainops.com, enter the coupon code NBH20 at checkout, and boom, you get 20% off.
I encourage you to do so. I love my Mountain Ops.
Hell yeah, they've got great proteins, pre-workouts. They got little BCA pills that I love, multivitamins. I mean, if you want to get jacked, just take a little Yeti, and you will be well on your way.
That's it, man. And you can't beat the new flavor of the Yeti. So check it out, everybody. Once again, NBH20 at checkout.
Also, we are able to provide to you a pretty sweet gift code from Maven Optics, which is NBH Gift. If you enter that at your checkout, they will send you some free Maven swag with your purchase. I mean, these are probably one of the hottest binoculars out there today. They're fully customizable, when it comes to camo patterns, colors, and not only that, they're great glass. I'm going to have Phil tell you a little bit more about that because he had a really nice, expensive pair of binoculars, and he sold them and got himself some Mavens.
Absolutely, man. I mean, when you look at us as hunters, we want the best bang for our buck, right? And not everybody has $1,500 or $2,000 or $2,500 to spend on a pair of optics. So why not get as close to the quality of what those $2,000 pair of binoculars are for half the price? I mean, Maven's put a excellent product together. They've eliminated the middleman and brought you, the hunter, the best product they can put together and kept it in a reasonable price. So, if you don't believe us, they're out here, they're finishing first or second in all kinds of awards when they're putting their binoculars out there for an independent review. They just took second in a recent review on their spotting scope. And there was over 30 entries into that review. All the big boys were in there too, ladies and gentlemen. And Maven, yes, on their new spotting scope, took second place in there. I mean, if that doesn't tell you, that they're putting out top-notch quality products, I don't know what is. Listen to me, it's money. Listen to Will, they're giving us and our listeners the opportunity to, look, if you're watching, check out this sweet hat I got on. I mean, that's a sweet hat right there I got with my binos, right? So check it out, man. They're going to kick you a free gift. I encourage you to support the companies that are really keeping the hunter in mind.
That's right. So it's for Mountain Ops, NBH20 for 20% off your purchase at checkout. And for Maven, it's NBH Gift at checkout. Try them out.
At mavenbuilt.com.
That's right. So get on over there and try them out. And now go on and enjoy the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Natural Born Hunter podcast. Tonight we have special guest Tim Endsley. You'll remember him from last week's episode. From Living the Brand, Bad Medicine Archery. He's the bad man from South Louisiana or Arkansas, whatever. It's all the same. It's all the same down there. Right. And tonight, joining us is very special guest from way at the other end of the country. Young up-and-comer in the industry. You may recognize the last name, but don't let that fool you. He's a man with his own goals and dreams in mind and how he's going to shape the hunting industry his own way. Welcome, Randy Burnworth, to the show.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, my pleasure, man. So we were actually talking a little bit about this. And, Tim, I'm guessing you are born before 1984, correct?
Yeah, quite a bit before 1984. A
little bit, like 1 or 2 years. So you just miss being a millennial, correct?
Yeah, exactly, by a long ways.
By a long ways. So, so Randy and I fall into that millennial category. And one thing I was thinking, And it was especially having Randy on tonight. I was thinking, topics of discussion, and it made me kind of think, as this next generation comes up, the thought that looking what all my friends are doing, people like Randy are doing, and it's kind of this thought that millennials might be the generation that revitalizes hunting. What do you guys think about that?
I agree.
Yeah, I do too.
Good. We got some good counterpoint going here with you guys.
I totally agree with that. I think, we talked about this last week, that even just the short period of time that I've been in the industry, walking into it and seeing what I thought was an opportunity for change, which was a lot of online video on demand, which is what I see with the kids and stuff today. And with the fitness stuff that you guys are doing, I think it's totally changing the face of our industry, but it's a slow process, it seems like. So
it's a big boat to turn around.
Yeah, and Randy, you've been around it a lot longer than any of us, because with your dad and being involved in all the TV stuff for all these years and hunting, and I'm sure you've seen a lot more of a swing than we have. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that, the fitness side of things has definitely progressed tremendously, especially in the last 5 years. I think Cameron Haynes himself has probably the biggest influence on that side of things in that realm. But also just one of the cool things that I've seen, so I've been shooting a bow since I was 4 years old. And as far as just strictly archery hunting, I've just seen archery blow up, because when I was younger, archery wasn't really cool,
Right.
to a lot of and it wasn't popular. A lot of people had a bad taste in their mouth about archery, and it's just completely done a 180, and that is the cool thing to do nowadays.
Yeah, you're not cool anymore unless you really, even the gun hunters. My father-in-law's 70 years old, and he's actually going to get a crossbow this year, and he's fighting it tooth and nail, but he's going to, because he likes to hunt in Kansas, and he doesn't think the gun season's a great time to hunt Kansas, and it's not. Yeah. And so he's even getting into the archery swing, and he has fought it tooth and nail, but it's definitely making that swing, I think, and guys like your dad were the ones that helped bring that swing around.
Yep, absolutely.
So, growing up with a dad who would be considered one of the biggest names in the sport, what were some things you learned and picked up that you would like to emulate? And what are some things that you're like, you know what, this I'm going to take and put my own twist on and go my own way with?
Oh boy. So, growing up and in that atmosphere and watching my dad, it's not easy what he has done and accomplished, obviously. And he has a video background, where he owned the largest video facility in San Diego for a long time, and he's always been a ballistic bow hunter. So he kind of put the two together, and we were doing some commercials and stuff, and he did a promo for the Outdoor Channel, and things started. I think this is his 14th year, but a lot of progression and just learning. We actually were the first on the network to have the HD side of things. Before HD, you could get it in a little DSLR or whatever. So that's changed tremendously. One thing that my dad and I kind of go back and forth about is obviously fitness is very important to me. And my dad, I'm just going to say this, but my dad's a beast. He's never set foot in a gym in his entire life. But he is the most mentally strong guy I've ever seen, because he legitimately, I don't know how he does it, but he just trucks up the mountains and just, I don't know, puts his mind to it and he gets it done. And there's very few guys I've seen that have been able to keep up with him. He just has so much stamina. I think that's just that headstrong mindset that he has. But him and I go back and forth, because he's like, you don't have to be, Mr. Fitness, and I like the health side of things and trying to better yourself in the gym. So him and I have kind of talked about that quite a bit.
That's funny you said that, because like Jason Matzinger's a good friend of mine from into high country, and we hunt together some in Montana, and Jason never goes to the gym, and he leaves us all in the dust in the mountains. And I started thinking about it from my rodeo days, that 27 years as a professional rodeo cowboy, I didn't work out. I didn't have time, but I was always in rodeo shape. Right. And everybody'd say, how do you get in shape for the rodeo? And I'm like, we're at a rodeo every day of the week, so I'm always in rodeo shape. So I kind of said that about Jason. I said that, and it's the same thing with your dad. They're doing it every day, so they're automatically in shape. I mean, it's not a big deal for them to be traipsing up and down the mountains, because they're always in that mode.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with working out just to look good either.
Well, I can tell you this, that me, I'll just throw my age out there. I'm 49 years old, and I lived for 37 years of my life. I rodeoed. I rodeo every day of the week, and just about. And so now at 49 years old, my body is telling me, you rodeoed for 37 years. So now there's a lot of stuff I do every day just to keep to where I can keep going, and go the places I want to go. That's where fitness comes into it for me. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you is something I think you and I could kind of touch base on is,
sure.
My dad is a Hall of Fame cowboy. My dad was a legend in rodeo, and I came up in those footsteps and came into my own professional career in rodeo. And I found that it opened a lot of doors for me because of who my dad was. And I think people had a lot of expectations of me because of who my dad was. But at the same time, I felt like there were times it put a lot of extra pressure on me because of who my dad was to be exceptional at what I did. Yeah. Do you find that with you and your dad?
Yes, I do. That's actually funny you bring that up. So my whole life, obviously, what we want to do is make our dads proud of us, right?
Right.
And so there is a lot of pressure on that type of, there's a lot of pressure with that. But the same thing, hunting is my passion in my life. So I drive myself as far as that side of things goes, but he's definitely, he's opened a lot of doors for me, especially this year at ATA and SHOT Show. I had a lot of really good conversations that I'm excited about this year, and kind of gauging where my life might take me. So I'm excited for this year.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I can say, and I think probably you just reiterated that. My dad never put any of the pressure on me to be good. He was just excited that I was wanting to be part of that legacy. And if I didn't want to be part of that legacy, I think he would have just been just as proud of me if I'd have wanted to, do whatever. But at the same time, I did find that pressure, but it was never from him. I could do absolutely shitty anywhere I was, and my dad was still like, man, right. And it was just one of those situations that, and not often do you get to run into somebody else that's dad is considered a legend in the game in a specific area, and knowing that kind of pressure to do good yourself. But as far as like archery and stuff, do you shoot a lot of tournaments? Do you go to tournaments? Are you a big tournament guy?
I'm probably going to turn it up in that area here shortly, but I haven't been shooting 3D for the last 3 years. So I did shoot a lot of local tournaments growing up and stuff, but it's been a few years since I've actually competed. So
that's me too. When I quit rodeoing, I thought archery tournaments were going to be my outlet for my competitive side.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because I thought I needed that, because I've been competitive for a living for so long that I thought, I'm going to have to do something with this. Well, I went to the local tournaments, and, I won a few of them right off the bat, and they'd hand me this hat pin, and I was like, this is what I won.
Welcome to archery, Tim.
I've been doing this for dollars, for all this time. So I'm looking at the dollar side of it, which is competing against, guys that I'm never going to beat. And I thought, I'm probably going to just go do this for fun, maybe occasionally. And so I'm just curious. I know I don't go to a lot of archery tournaments either, but I do go to some occasionally, and I think it does help me with my archery.
Well, let's talk tournaments and competitions here a little bit, and let's talk about what I would consider the king of kings when it comes to archery competitions these days. Something that will truly test not only your 3D skills but your fitness skills, and that would be the Train to Hunt Challenge. Now, Randy, from the live video I saw you guys putting up on the Bowtech Facebook page, looks like you're going for it this year, my man.
I am, yeah. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know how I'll hold up, and I need some insight actually from you guys on that. But I'm hoping I'm just going to. Right?
Unfortunately, Phil's not here tonight. He'd tell you how to win. All I can tell you is how to get silvers. But but I will tell you this: the two most important things I think are, one, the shooting. Two, because you can shoot your way up over some of the out of the maybe a little less athleticism. But if you stink in that shooting right off the go, there's guys like Phil who could win that in the first event, depending on the competition that shows up that day. Some of these guys who are on that top end, like Trevor Nystrath, who just won 2 national back-to-back championships. These guys are shooting lights out. So you want to be competitive. Even if you're not going to score a perfect score, you at least don't want to get buried.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, run your ass off. Because especially the way it's structured now, it's much more heavy on the legs and lungs than it ever was before. All the weights on the meat pack and everything else got dropped. So strength is not as big of a factor. When it was a 200-pound meat pack and guys were doing it all in one shot, that's when you really needed some good sturdy legs under you. But right now, basically, it's a lot more geared towards running your damn ass off, performing some physical challenges, and being able to just shoot lights out. Those are the two things I would tell anybody looking to do a Train to Hunt competition, especially now that it's compressed into one-day event where the 2 physical events are now combined to one event. So it's going to be, the run out, physical challenge, shoot. I forget if it's shooting first and then run and then physical challenge. But either way, you're essentially doing intervals followed by probably what's going to be a 1 to 2 mile run with 25 pounds.
Okay.
Which, that's the other thing I see now is some guys will get too caught up with training with heavy weights a lot, and it will affect that their recovery time and end up the speed they could be training to acquire. They're not getting as much out of a training session as they could by putting on that heavy weight, if you know what I mean. Instead of building that capacity, they're now giving themselves a disadvantage. So that would be the other thing.
Gotcha.
I know Ken and I. Ken was one of the first people I met whenever I got in the industry a few years ago. I met him like the first year I was around any of the outdoor industry, and he was just really getting started with this concept. And Ken sends me a lot of workouts. Like, I do a lot of the Train to Hunt workouts, but he's always like, when you're going to enter? And I'm like, dude, I've got so many years of just complete torture on my knees and my ankles that when I get finished working out, there's the next morning at my age, it just kills me to get out of bed some mornings. So, I do it because I feel like I need to do it to get better as a hunter. And if I want to go other places, it helps me a lot, like to keep up half-ass with Jason or Willie or any of those guys that are traipsing up and down the mountains. And that's kind of why I do it.
Well, why don't you come out for one? It's only one day now, so that second day where you're hurting won't matter anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I just come out and bring me a bottle of ibuprofen and the procs, and I'll be good to go.
I think you should come up to Pennsylvania. That's going to be the event I try to make, and it was last year it was awesome. I didn't go to all the events, so I can't say it was the best one ever, but it's the best one I ever went to. The club there that's putting it on is behind it 110%. There's guys
Right.
standing around drinking beers like they were watching NASCAR, cheering everybody on. And this year it's going to be bigger and better. I don't want to give away any secrets, but Bill Adel, who's running it, who's the point man there running the show, he's told me a few things he's got up his sleeves, and I think it's going to be one hell of an event.
Heck yeah. So where's your first event going to be, Randy?
I think I'm going to do the one in Idaho.
Right on.
Yep. And I actually, I'll just be totally transparent with you guys. Last like month, so I know I'm not old yet, but I'm getting older. So I'm noticing changes in my body, right? So like
you're starting to grow hair where it wasn't before. Your voice is getting deeper.
Yes, kind of like that, but a little different. No, but like I kind of been neglecting the stretching, prior to the workouts and stuff like that. I've been going a little bit too hard lately, and so for like the last month, I kind of backed off because I actually have an ultrasound here pretty soon, but I think I might have a hernia.
Ooh.
So I'm a little bit worried about that. So
Yeah.
so we'll see how that goes, but yeah. So I'm just more focusing on like stability and mobility right now, and stretching and lightweight stuff until I get told by the doctor I'm good to go, and then I'm gonna step back on the horse.
So what caused the hernia? Do you know, or were you shooting your bow?
No, not shooting the bow. I think it was squats. Yeah, I just all of a sudden I just felt this like hot pressure like right in the corner of my hip, and
Yep.
I don't know, it just didn't feel right, and so I backed off. And even with me just like squatting at 135, I still felt that pressure when I filled my stomach up with air. So
Oof.
I've been just using the leg press a lot more.
Right on. That would not be a pleasant experience, I can imagine at all. I pulled my groin one time rodeoing so bad that it turned completely black. And that was bad enough for me. I can't even imagine having a hernia. I pulled my groin. It just, my whole leg turned black. Like they were trying to make me walk on crutches and everything. And I was like, I'm too tough to walk on crutches. But when I was home, I was walking on crutches when no one could see me. I definitely think the physical thing, just like you said earlier, I think Cameron leading the charge probably. I can tell you this, we talked a little bit about it last week. Cameron was one of the people that was instrumental in me actually getting in the industry. And one of the first videos I ever saw of him, he was running down a hill and doing pull-ups, and it was an Eminem song playing behind him. And I thought, who is this guy? Who the hell is this dude? What's up with this guy? Like he's and then it showed his sheep hunt. He was holding that sheep from falling off the side of that cliff, and I thought, this guy's an absolute bohemian. I got to get to know who this guy is. And then, as it's progressed into what it is. Because obviously he wasn't that same dude then. But so do you think just from a perspective of somebody that's getting ready to do the Train to Hunt challenge and obviously believes in being physical fit, do you think that it does play a larger role in your outdoor life as in your personal life, everything rolled up in one?
Yeah, kind of the way, so I'm big on like self-development, and the start of that for me and me personally is the gym. Like it's just taught me so many things that transfer over to other areas of my life. Like just hitting that wall and breaking through, and like having that confidence that you can push through anything, being that it gains that mental strength to just push through, and in so many different areas of your life. So that for sure has been a big thing for me is just training my mind to really just have control in life, kind of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does to me, because I know, like, my gym regimen is I try to get up early, like around 4:30 or 5 a.m. and try to be at the gym early in the morning, because it seems like if I do that, and by the time I get back home and it's 8 o'clock, 8:30, whatever time I get home, it seems like my whole day is far more productive. It's like I get more done as far as editing. I get more done as far as production. I'm more motivated to go forward with everything I'm doing for the day. And it seems like some of the best days that I've had working out have been the days that it was the hardest for me to get my ass up and go to the gym. So like getting up and actually making myself go was a big enough challenge, because I'd get up and my freaking knees were hurting from the day before. And you know, I can think of 25 excuses to stay home. But if I actually make myself go and go through my workout, seems like those have been some of the best workouts I've ever had. And it's because I pushed through something, you know, that doubt and that wanting to just kind of slack, you know?
Yep. One of the things actually growing up that my dad always kind of coached me on, or one of the biggest things that just really I think about a lot, is he used to always tell me, you just got to show up, because you never know what's going to happen. You just got to show up. So there's been so many things in my life that I've just gone with no reason or rhyme to why I'm doing, but I just go, right? So that's one of the things that on those mornings that's hard, it's like you just got to show up, because that might be the morning that turns your life around. Or
Oh yeah. Well, I can tell you guys one thing that you have to look forward to, and people told me this. Because when I was younger and I was obviously rodeoing and I was in pretty good shape, man, I could eat anything. I could do anything I wanted to do, and I could gain 20 pounds and lose 20 pounds in a week. You know, I mean, it was like nothing. It just, and it was effortless. It just came on and off without me even trying. And everybody said, wait till you get to be 40. You know, and I'm like, you guys are out of your mind. I'm going to tell you something. Once you get to be 40, you better start watching. You better start watching eat, because everything you eat at 40 years old turns into fat. I can tell you that right now. It all turns into fat. You're going, holy shit, how come this is so hard to take off now? Before it just like fell away. Now it's just falling down.
Didn't you just premise this with something to look forward to, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just telling you right now, just know you're going to hear this from a lot of dudes over 40, but just know it's true. It's damn sure true. Cause I used to look at those guys and go, oh, y'all are out of your mind, man. Once my metabolism started slowing down, I was like, what the crap happened to me? You look at yourself in the mirror and go, what happened? What the hell happened?
So what does your diet look like nowadays?
Man, it's hit or miss. I'll tell you, the diet thing has been the hardest thing for me, and it's not that it's not that I don't really work on my diet. It's because my wife is super conscientious about her diet. And I'll tell you this right now, up front, my wife can outwork me 100 times over. I mean, she is an absolute workout beast, but she will not go to the gym. She works out right here at home. I mean, she'll go out there. She'll come in from doing the battle ropes and kettlebells and running and everything outside. She'll come in. She'll go, I got 150 burpees today. What'd you do? I'm like, I didn't get any burpees, I can tell you that. But my diet, basically, she keeps me pretty good on my diet. I mean, there's times that I'm not one of them guys that I'm not a meal prepper. I just try to be careful of what I eat. You know, like I grill a lot of stuff. Obviously we eat a lot of wild game. So, I mean, my freezer's full of deer meat and so I eat a lot of deer steak. Anything we cook is generally with deer burger. But for the most part, a lot of vegetables and meat. and I try really hard not to eat fast food. That's the killer for me, is fast food. That's where it comes from. It's just too easy, and we all know, especially you get busy, you're cruising, through these towns, and you're trying to get here, get there, or go to meetings or whatever. It's just really easy to whip through McDonald's and grab some processed burger that you wish, like, the next morning when you're on the treadmill, you're like, damn, I shouldn't have ate that burger because I feel it today. And I never realized you'd feel it, until and I'm not a runner. I don't really go out and run. I hate to run. Like, I literally hate to run. People ask me a lot of times, they're like, how far can you run? And I'm like, so it depends on what's chasing me. But for the most part, my cardio consists of the rowing machine, and I hike. And sometimes I'll get on Facebook Live and I'll get a 25 or 30 pound pack on my back, and people look at me like I'm nuts in the gym because I'll put on a hoodie, pull it up over my head, put a bunch of weight in my pack. I get on there, incline it to 10, and I just take off hiking like at 4.1 or something, just a steady hike. And that's kind of where I am. But as far as back to the diet, I can definitely tell if I go out and splurge, like Super Bowl night, I ate pizza. And Monday morning, I went and got on the treadmill and damn near died. Like, I thought, I thought I wanted someone to stand behind me and just hold me up on the treadmill because I wanted to fall off of it so bad. And I never realized how bad that food drug you down, but it does. It literally does. Like it just kills you off.
I feel
what
like
about what do you guys do as far as diet wise?
Go ahead, Will.
I'm much like you, Tim, where thankfully my wife is a very careful cook, and I'd say 90% of the time I just eat the meals she makes. So I follow, past 4 weeks I've been sticking to my macros. So I'm, paying attention to just proteins, carbs, and fats, and I try to get them from as many like simple and good sources as possible. So it's just a lot of chicken, and I actually love rice. So I like to have rice as my carb usually. I don't care for sweet potatoes, so I'll put in rice or maybe Ezekiel bread, and just a lot of meat. Like you say, venison is a big staple, and I'm sure for any hunter out there, it's like such an easy, versatile meat to throw in and make a really great, healthy meal out of. But I'm like you, Tim. Every once in a while, I stumble, and that stumble might lead me into a face of 20 chicken nuggets in one sitting. Where
the ultimate processed food.
You ever eat so many chicken nuggets you can smell it coming through your skin? That's when I fall hard. Luckily, between the three of us, Randy looks like he actually watches what he eats even better. So maybe he'll give some great inspiration to the listeners.
Yeah,
well, I don't count calories or macros or anything like that. I usually have the problem of getting enough food in me. But so I eat a ton, believe it or not, I eat a lot of chicken and eggs. It's just, it's kind of ridiculous. And they're not all full eggs. Like, I bet you it'll be, I don't know, half of them will be yolks, but I eat probably at least 20 eggs a day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
So like breakfast for me is generally, especially that early in the morning, I jump up, grab a protein shake.
Yep.
I chug it down, and then I haul ass to the gym. On the way to the gym, it takes me about 20 minutes to get to the gym. I drink whatever I'm going to drink for a pre-workout. Get to the gym. By the time I get there, I'm ready. And then a lot of branched chain amino acids. I drink BCAAs the whole time I'm working out, and then I'll usually drink one after. But I'm like you, though. I really am a big fan of rice. And I love chicken. My wife doesn't like chicken, but I still eat, like, man, I'll still throw a real good seasoned, like, grilled pork chop on the old grill sometimes. And one of my favorite things is, and a lot of people, especially with deer steak, in the South, the thing is, if you're going to eat deer meat, man, it's got to be covered up with flour, milk, and eggs, and it's got to be thrown in a big pat of grease, you know, and that's how everybody eats it. And it's got to be covered up with gravy, you know what I mean? It's got to be covered up with gravy.
Just cut it into nugget size for me.
So yeah, nugget size would be perfect for Will. So one of the things a few years ago in Kansas, I was hunting with a buddy of mine, and he had just killed an elk, his first elk in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So he and I were there at his place, and he said, "Man, tonight I'm gonna grill some elk steaks." And so he marinated them for 2 days, and then we wrapped them in bacon and threw them on the grill. And so I thought, and when I ate that, I thought, this is the best damn thing I've ever ate in my life. So I came home and tried it with a couple deer from here in Arkansas that had been living on sawbriars and shit, you know, and it was still pretty good, but not quite as tasty. But like my Kansas deer and the deer I kill out west that just have a little better flavor. That's one of the things I do is I'll cut the tenderloins up in steaks, basically, or chops, whatever they call them. I marinate them for like 2 days, and then I bacon wrap them and throw them on the grill, just like a filet mignon or something. And dude, I'm gonna tell you, that's probably most of the people around here are like, man, I'm not eating no grilled deer meat, you know. And once they eat it one time, they're like, hey, man, when can we grill some more of that deer meat? That'll be awesome. But that is one of my absolute favorite meals right there.
I'm going to let you in on a little secret, Tim. You wrap anything in bacon, it tastes amazing.
Damn right. Anything wrapped in bacon tastes a hell of a lot better. I promise you that. You wrap those chicken nuggets in bacon, it'd sell a lot more of them.
Write that down. $1 million idea. Listen, McDonald's, I know you think these chicken nuggets are good, but I have a way to take these up to 10.
Right on. Well, back to
so Randy, something I got to know. You've had to have been on a ton of hunts. What is the most memorable one for you?
Oh man. So I'm gonna say 2 different hunts. Yeah. So when I was 19, I got to go down to Africa as a cameraman / hunter. So I was mainly there to film, but I also got to hunt. So I think why that was most memorable is that not only did I get to spend a lot of time with my dad and my brother in the blind, and we just shot a lot of stuff, and it was just so much fun. But that different like culture and just understanding like the different ways that people hunt, because like what I've noticed is like if you grow up in Idaho or you grow up in Washington, you hunt a certain way, and that's the majority of what you know, and you think that is what hunting is. But the more you travel and the more you get to see the different cultures and the different ways that people hunt and what's important to them, and yeah, just their different ideas of what hunting is, it kind of just broadens your horizon and kind of makes you understand a lot more. But anyway, so I just got to see a lot of like, I got to go to Zimbabwe. We hunted lions, leopards. I got to go on an elephant hunt, a whole bunch of cool stuff. And I saw like what true poverty was. And I remember we were driving in the truck through this village, and I saw these little kids that like, luckily there was a school there, but they were walking like 4 miles barefoot on this crappy road just to go to school because they wanted an education so badly. And in some of the other areas, like I had an empty pop can in my hand, and there was a crowd of probably 40 little kids that were like begging me to give them the aluminum pop can because they thought it looked cool, basically. And so I handed it to them, like just not understanding really what they wanted. And they all like envied that kid with the empty pop can. Like it just, I don't know. It just meant a lot to me and really changed my perspective on a lot of things.
So when you then hear people talking about it's bad to hunt trophy, air quotes, hunting in Africa or hunting lions or anything like that. What are your thoughts on that?
Are you specifically talking like high fence or?
Or I guess any hunting in Africa, because there's people out there who would love it. No hunting in Africa being done.
Yeah. So obviously I completely disagree with that. But I think, I mean, to each his own, you know. I think as long as we're managing and doing the things we need to do to preserve hunting, you know, like, and really promote it and grow it in the right way. Like, that's in Africa, especially, that's one of the number one ways that their economy works, is through all the hunting that happens over there. That's like the majority of why the animals are there. So, yeah.
Yeah, without hunting, there's really no industry over there. So, I mean, how many people, I've talked to some buddies, I've never been over there, but I've talked to some buddies that have been, and they're like, you know, we've got trackers that are employed. We've got guides that are employed over there. And then you've got entire villages that basically end up, you know, getting the meat. And they said it's like a giant celebration when you come in with an animal, because they're so excited about getting the meat, you know, that's going to feed several people in that village. Is that kind of what you saw when you were over there?
Yeah, actually, when my dad took his elephant, one of the things that I saw that was just unbelievable was like the whole village was like begging us to kill an elephant, right? And I know that's like kind of like a controversial issue, like, a lot of people don't agree with killing elephants, but the truth is that elephants like will completely ruin a forest, because they just go up and they'll knock over the biggest tree, like it's unbelievable, with their head, and they'll just like pick up one leaf and walk away. And so no, seriously though, they do. And like I saw, we were going through the village, and one of these guys, the entire way that he made a living was he owned this little crop of just bananas in his backyard. Mm-hmm. And an elephant came in the middle of the night, wiped everything out. And he was literally like crying that he lost basically financially everything he had.
Jeez.
And yeah, so it was a big deal. And when we did finally take an elephant, like the entire village came and they would cut as much meat as they possibly could. And I mean, there's these women that would probably beat up all three of us at the same time. And no, seriously though, they'd pick up like 100 pounds of meat and put it on their back or their head, and they'd walk like 4 miles back to their hut. And I was just blown away. Like, and that's what I kind of mean, like how it just changed my perspective of like what hunting was, kind of, because I grew up a certain way and saw certain, you know, few things, and kind of that perceived that's what hunting was, until I had traveled a little bit with my dad.
I think that's interesting right there. What you're talking about is the same thing here where I live in Arkansas. I mean, the people around here, I didn't grow up hunting. I mean, I didn't start hunting till really late in life. I just didn't have time. And then when I did, I went on a gun hunt. That was my first hunt. Wasn't super impressed with it. It just didn't turn me on. So I didn't even hunt for a while, and then I found a bow, and I was like, "Holy crap! This is the deal right here." And I just got intrigued with the chess match of it. But you know, I think that's the same thing here, is that trying to re-educate, you know, people to be more stewards of the animals and stewards of the land. I think is one of the toughest tasks that we have, because you know, especially in the South, and probably the same around where Will lives, it's really a good old boy, you know, event. You know, everybody, it's like, you know, one of the things that I hate to hear around here, and they say it every year, boy, did you get your buck this year? You know, and they don't really care. They just, so long as you kill the buck, you know, they don't really care. You know, it has nothing to do with managing animals or whatever. It's got to do, you go sit over a field and there's 150 does in there, but they're more interested in killing a 2-year-old 8-point than for meat than killing some does that need to be managed. And I think that's one of the hardest things, I think, and that's something like you experienced there. You saw a different way of hunting. And I think the more of that we can show through TV shows, through the videos, on YouTube or wherever you're posting your stuff, I think, to me, that's one of the most important things we can do as hunters now is show, listen, this is at one time, all this stuff got killed off,
Yep.
through market hunting or whatever. And it's been brought back to these huge populations of deer, and it's up to us to manage it and be stewards of it, just like we are the land, the public lands that are, at stake now. So I think that's a good experience that you had there. It changed your perspective, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So second hunt, what would that would have been?
So that was actually last year. So since I was a young boy, my dad's goal was that my brother Jeff and I and my dad would all go to Kodiak, Alaska on a Sitka blacktail hunt. So we finally did it, and last year was a blast. We brought my grandpa and a lot of our close friends, and in 5 days we killed 28 bucks.
Holy crap.
And it was rifles. My dad killed one with a bow, but it was the south side of the island, and we took a boat down, and every morning we'd take a skiff and he'd drop off a group. And somehow, I don't know how this happened, but I kept getting called to come pull everybody's deer to the shores. They'd be like, "Hey, Randy, come help us." So I was one of the few that didn't shoot all 3 of my bucks because I was busy helping pack, but it was a lot of fun. Like my grandpa, he has some bad hips, and so we gimped him along and got him back there, and he shot a buck at just over 500 yards, I believe. And then, so it's the craziest thing. We get my grandpa and we find this good buck, we get him up on it, and he dumps this buck. And so we're all high-fiving and celebrating to the camera. And I look up on the hill and I see another buck, and then my brother notices. So he gets down, he glasses, and my dad's like, "What?" So he picks up his binoculars, checks, and he's like, "Somebody killed that buck right now." So it was a big stag buck, and it scored 123 or something. But my brother shot that buck within 300 yards of where my grandpa did. So it's just a cool ordeal. We took pictures together, and it's just a big memory, I guess, because we haven't been able to grandpa for a lot of years. Some of the very first hunts. So my dad grew up hunting in Tillamook, Oregon, for Roosevelt bulls, and so those were some of my first hunting experiences when I was a young man. So we did that as a tradition for the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 years of me hunting, and then it kind of, life got busy and stuff, and so it was just good to be able to hunt with my grandpa again. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome, because that's cool. My granddad was a big hunter, and he lived to hunt, and he spent so much time in the woods. And when I was younger, all I cared about doing was going to rodeos. And then we moved to Texas, and that's where I grew up. So my dad doesn't hunt. He was rodeoing too. So I never got to hunt with my granddad. And that was one of the things I kind of wish, one of his bucks, there's a 6-point hanging on the wall right here beside me that the only deer he ever had sent to the taxidermist. And it's a big wide 6-point. I don't even know what year he killed it, but it hangs on the wall here. And it was one of my granddad's bucks, and he's ugly and kind of puny, but just the fact that it was his, I'm excited to have it. And I'm glad you got to have that experience, because I didn't get to. My wife got to hunt with her granddad quite a bit. And I actually got to hunt with him some too. And he was a super comical character. One of the things I remember about him was he always shot a 30-06, and he gave it to my wife when he quit hunting. But he was No, he always shot a 30-30, and he was going to shoot a 30-06. So he was going to shoot this 30-06, and he hadn't shot it in years. And I know jack about guns, man. You can ask me anything you want to ask me just about bows, arrows, whatever. But when you start talking about guns, man, I just know you point it that way and it goes boom. And so he was going to shoot this 30-06, and he had it propped up on the hood of this truck, and he was shooting at a pie plate in a mound at our deer camp.
Yeah.
And he shot that thing, and it knocked his hat sideways, and his glasses fell off. And we were all wanting to laugh, but I had to walk away because I just didn't want to be disrespectful and laugh at my wife's granddad. You know, it was just super funny. Just that I got to have that experience with him, so that was cool. But
that's awesome.
Yep. But I'm the only bow hunter in the crew, so I catch a lot of shit. Like they're not really super into the bow hunting. But
hey, not everybody can be right.
That's exactly right. You know,
Exactly.
I got a chance to meet your dad this year at ATA. I was one of the hosts at the Badlands Film Festival, so I was on stage as a host, and I got done and we started the film festival, and I was actually going to walk around there and try to get a free beer before they ran out. And I had to go back up on stage, and I walked around there and I see your dad standing there by himself. And of all the years we've been doing the film festival, that was the first time I'd seen him there. And this year I was seeing more and more people, you know, that were coming and were interested in what we were doing with the Badlands Film Festival. And I just walked up and introduced myself to him, and he told me how impressed he was with the film festival and everything, and said that he was considering either putting one on or putting films. So, what do you guys think about that? Are you guys fixing to delve into that realm some, you think?
There's a good chance. Yeah, I know we're putting a lot of good archery stuff together this year, as far as like curriculum and things like of that nature. So, we're probably going to tie a lot of that into and possibly start one. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I think the film festivals and just the films in general have taken on such a big part of expressing who all of us are as hunters. Because I think you can do it so much better in a short film, say that's 10 or 11 minutes long with no commercials, and you can actually tell the story. Yeah. Just like you're talking about, to where when you're producing for television, you've got so much stuff you've got to do for sponsors. You've got so much stuff you've got to do for the cuts for the commercials, and you're talking about basically 22 minutes of production, and you've got to fit everything you've got to fit into that, including all your sponsor stuff. And I think the short films are definitely a good. And I hope you guys get into it, because I'm a super big fan of it. I watch probably more of that than I do anything is short films.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, because touching back on the thing about millennials being a big impact on the industry, I think with these short films and film festivals, there's going to be a lot of people, you know, even skewing a little older to an age range, who are going to be on the cusp, who aren't against hunting, who might be thinking about it, who had a grandfather or a dad who did it, but for some reason they either started it and gave it up or never really picked it up. But they could see something like that, and it'll reach out to them or touch them and spark something within them to decide, you know what, I think I'm going to try hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, to me, the short films, you can show a little more of an adventure. You know what I mean? To me, I think you can show a little more, because I've been on both sides. I mean, I've been a field producer for some TV shows, and I've had certain shows that they've told me, you know, you film the intro when you get there where you are, you film a few minutes of calling or whatever's going on right before the kill. You film the kill, you film the grip and grin, and then you shoot 5 or 6 cutaways for products, and then you're done. They don't want to know the rest of the story. And then I've had some that wanted just the story, whether you killed anything or not. And those were the ones I wanted to do the most, was because I felt like I could have a lot more fun with it as a field producer, telling more of a story. And I just think that that's a more interesting side of hunting to me personally. I like to see that adventure. And if you can show people, in the world that, like you're talking about, Will, that are maybe on that fence and they look and they go, well, crap, I hike every day. I love to hike or I love to camp. Maybe I'd like this, and that's where I think the short film stuff and the film festival stuff is going to be super effective as far as progressing our industry, especially with millennials. And I am super excited that your dad was looking at it and taking a look to go, because that shows that he's progressive, and so many people aren't in our industry.
Right.
They don't want to go that direction. They want to just keep doing what they're doing and not worry about the other stuff. And two, I can understand that there's a lot goes on there, with sponsors and, trying to keep up with the day-to-day grind too. So I can understand that too.
Yeah, he's definitely a busy man, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to what we've got going this next year. I think things are gonna really blow up.
Well, that's good. I'm excited to see it, and I was super excited to meet him. And it was like, I've been around, ATA and stuff and in different events where he's been, but I've never had an opportunity to meet him, just because I'm not one of those guys that goes up and introduces myself to people because they're busy and they're in the middle of something, and you've talked to 600 people that day. And so just when I saw him just making a round around there to go find a place to sit down, I was like, I'm going to just go introduce myself and just make a point to make sure I let him know I was glad he was there. And I was super glad he was there, because his show was one of the first shows I really ever watched, and I can remember one of the images I have is of him shooting that blowing up target off of that pitcher's mound. Was that a baseball game? It was at a baseball game, yeah. Where was that?
Which one are you talking about? Where he shoots the baseball off a bat?
No, he shot something that exploded, and he was standing at home plate or on the pitcher's mound or something. He shot something, and it. I don't remember.
He's done a lot of those. The craziest one, actually, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, but him and Ray Bunny. You guys probably know who Ray Bunny is,
right?
Yeah, they set up some tannerite inside of a car. This is not recommended, by the way.
Right.
Anybody.
Disclaimer here.
20 pounds of tannerite and 20 gallons of gas with flares inside of a car, and they're standing about 120 yards back. 2 338 Lapuas aimed at 2 targets, and they shoot this thing simultaneously, and it is the biggest explosion I've ever seen. Like, the car blew in half. The door comes off flying at Ray. It almost hit Ray, and then it bounced, and I'm probably 200 yards from the car. It bounced off the ground, like the entire door coming at me, almost hit me. It was the most dangerous thing, but it was crazy.
So what do you guys have in store for this year? What's some cool hunts you're going on this year, maybe for a first, or even just something you're looking forward to as far as archery or gun or whatever?
Pretty much every year, I do an over-the-counter Idaho elk hunt. That's like one of my favorite hunts that I go on every year, usually with my brother. And then my best friend, his name is Sean Wheeler, who's actually, I think he's going to be my partner for the Train to Hunt event.
Oh, nice.
And, so yeah, that is going to be probably the number one hunt that I'm looking forward to this year. But we've put in for a couple different draw units this year. And I do want to touch on one thing that's kind of funny. So last year, my brother got drawn in Utah for a mountain goat.
Cool.
And so it was just him and his wife Carly and me, and we hired these guys to horseback us in, and we were I think we were 16 miles in, to where our base camp was. And then we were actually on this little glacier lake, and we'd walk back in, probably 4 miles, and we would hunt these goats that were at the very top. So the very first day, my brother gets up there, and my dad was he was just kind of talking smack to Jeff a little bit and goes, "Hey dude, you're not going to get it done with a bow. You might as well bring it." So that just lights a fire under our butts, right? Like, Dad just said we can't do this. All right. So I was pretty much just a cameraman and a pack mule for my brother. And he gets up there, and we find like a pretty nice goat. And I was super impressed with Jeff, but he navigates on it's icy rocks that are super brittle. And I mean, these are like legitimate cliffs, like scary stuff. And Jeff is just sneaking up on this like little rim, and he cuts off the goats, and he knows they're going to walk out on this path. So this nanny's in front, it walks out, and then the billy walks out and stands broadside and looks at Jeff at like 55 yards. And Jeff's like, "You're done." So he draws back, and he holds his pin on it, and he shoots like 3 feet to the left. And we're like, what just happened? So he thinks maybe I didn't bubble level or something's off, but he tries to shoot again. The billy doesn't even know what's going on because they're so high on the mountain. He's got no real predators. So He just kind of stood there, let him shoot a second time, and Jeff hit the exact same spot. And so he knew his bow was screwed up, so Jeff just let him walk after that because he was a little bit frustrated and whatnot. So he comes down off the mountain just totally distraught because that was like the perfect opportunity. And like a few days later, we got on a bigger goat with the gun, and we didn't want to tinker with the bow while we were up there because I think his rest or something got bumped, but we just let it be after that. But it was a really, really fun hunt. And he shoots this goat at like 6'10" off the top of this rock, and it rolls, and it falls like probably 300 feet onto its back, right? Oof. And he just pumped this thing in the lungs with a 7 STW. So this goat, they are the toughest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. With a broken back, the goat stands back up and starts walking after it's been shot in the spot and has a broken back. I don't know how I was walking with broken back, but it was. So it's like kind of stumbling, and it gets on this like edge where it's teetering, and it's just about to fall off the cliff. But I kind of want it to fall off the cliff because I don't want to walk up there. Right. And so I'm like, Jeff, and so the goat lays down and just dies right there. So we went back to camp and got all of the horse ropes we had, and Jeff and I walk up there, and we are legitimately on a cliff, and we tied all the horse ropes together. I tied it around his stomach, and I lowered him down the cliff while I'm holding onto the rope so that he could get to the goat. Like, we were contemplating getting the helicopter because it was super sketchy.
Jeez.
So that was maybe, that was the stupidest thing we've ever done, probably.
Well, that's pretty damn exciting right there. I've never gone on a goat hunt, or I mean, I've been primarily a whitetail dude, and I've made a couple trips out west, for elk, and I love to go out west and turkey hunt. But yeah, definitely a goat hunt or something like that's on my list. But I'm not sure if I'm tough enough to do that right there. I'd have to toughen up a little more, get over my fear of falling off the cliff first.
I was scared, trust me.
It's not the fall, it's the landing.
Yeah, the landing's what gets you every time. That's kind of funny you're talking about that with the bow, because I had an experience like that this year, except it wasn't on something that I had to draw for. It was my first morning in Kansas, and I'd been in Nebraska filming for a week, and I only had 4 days to film in Kansas before I had to leave and go film for somebody else. So I was going to hunt 4 days we've got a lease there. First morning in the stand, and his giant 7-point. I mean, he was just a big, mature 7-point, but he was really tall and wide, thick horn. I grunt him in off the neighbor's property, He walks in 15 yards, and I draw back. Everything on camera, it's perfect. Self-filming, shoot right under him at 15 yards, and I'm like, what in the hell just happened? And he runs out about 30, and I knock another arrow, and I draw, and I'm fixing to shoot him again, and shoot at him again, and he takes off, and I don't get a shot. I go back and shoot my bow at the camp, and I shot 11 inches low and almost off the target to the right.
Ooh.
And so somewhere between Nebraska and Kansas, my sight or my rest or something got knocked off. But anyway, I just readjusted my sight. I didn't mess with my rest. If I start messing with my rest, it's a total nightmare at that point. So I just rather readjust my sight to where I know I'm good at 30 and I'll be good for whitetail. But that's a frustrating feeling. I can't even imagine having that on something that you've had to draw for like a goat, and that was in Utah.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I mean, that's
tears for sure. That
yeah.
It was a big deal, but it's the way it goes. I asked him if he wanted to check his bow, and he's like, "No, it should be good." And the reason why we didn't mess with it too, because we had only shot 5 arrows, and we didn't have a target with us, so we didn't want to even mess with it after he had missed. So
right, yep, I got you.
Yeah.
That's and that is one of the craziest things is what really got me was after that trip from Nebraska was Cryptolite. Have you guys seen that target? Glows in the dark?
No.
So I pull into camp and it's dark, and 9 times out of 10 when I pull in from somewhere else, I'm going to get my bow out and just fling a few, at 20 just to make sure everything's on. And it was dark. And Cryptolite, I'd had this Cryptolite target in there that glows in the dark, and we'd been shooting it at night. We had a wall tent set up in Nebraska. We were hunting whitetail on public land out of this wall tent. So at night, we were all shooting right there behind the camp with this glow-in-the-dark target. And, I mean, it can be pitch black, and so long as you can see your pin, that thing glows like a headlight. And so I had that right there, and I almost got it out and shot it, but I was just too lazy to do it. And then the next morning I missed that giant, which I ended up killing one the next afternoon, but still I was like, I can't believe I didn't at least get the target. Yeah, and just fling a couple arrows. So for the rest of the week in Kansas, and even now, it's like for the whole rest of the fall, I was constantly shooting my bow. Like everybody's like, man, you sure do shoot a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like paranoid as hell now. I'm shooting at least 2 or 3 arrows every day.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all the time we have for tonight. Randy, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Where can people go check out your stuff and follow you, all the social medias and all that stuff?
Yeah, so I have a Instagram page. It's just Randy Burnworth Official, and then I've got Facebook as well. So that's probably the best way to find me.
And Tim, I can't thank you enough for coming to be in my special guest co-host tonight. Where can they check out your stuff?
You can find us Living the Brand on Instagram, and you can find us on Badlands YouTube channel, signature series Living the Brand.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, stop on over at our fine partners. I think the website's now mountainops.com, and use the code NBH20 at checkout to get yourself 20% off. You can also go to mavenoptics.com, use the coupon code NBHGIFT at checkout and get yourself some free Maven swag with your order. Also, if you're competing in a Train to Hunt, Alpha Bow hunting competition, or any other archery athletic competition, the new program I have written is up and it is active and people are kicking ass on it over at Train Heroic. Just search Team Omega Wolf. It's $25 a month. We cover archery, running, strength, metabolic conditioning. Everything's there. There's a private Facebook page to post videos. You can get some feedback on your shooting or your lifts, whatever you have going on. For the Natural Born Hunter podcast, wake up, chase your dreams, repeat.